I think you benefited each other quite well, actually. I'm glad you had each other.
And likewise, yourself and Ashley. I'm glad you had each other.
So the relationships kind of ended at around the same time, right?
And there was a very similar script.
So,
am I surprised that two of the couples are divorced? No, I'm not. I'm not. Let us be for real. I'm not. Because the guys were iffy. And if your brother is saying he doesn't think that you're ready for marriage, then I would listen to it. Because at the end of the day, Carl's brother was right. He was right. And given the fact that Bada is the one that said no on wedding day, I'm surprised she's coming across as a bit bitter. Or is that just me? Personally, I think she's coming across as bitter. The way she's responsive, I don't get it. Katisha, for her to be wrong and stand 10 toes on being wrong doesn't make sense. I don't know whether she thinks she's going to get a reward for saying that she's happy that she stands by her decision for choosing Javen. Given how Javen treated her, I don't get it for her to say, yes, that was my decision. That's how I felt on the day. Why? Why would you continue to insist something that you know is wrong was right for you? Do you not value yourself that much? Anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love is Blind UK, Season 2, Episode 11, The Reunion. It's hard to believe that this is the end of season 2. It was a great season anyway. So all the couples come out, including those that didn't say yes on wedding day. And Emma and Matt sort of go through the couples to find out the progress or the status of their relationships. Surprise, surprise, we start off with Carl and Sarover. With Carl and Sarover, we get to see them sort of after the experiment. We get to see them travel. And it was really cute. They were really cutesy. They seem to be doing very well. And once the montage of their travel videos has ended, we then find out that they broke up. Apparently, after 3 months, he walked away. He just called her and told her, we're done, it's over, go and make yourself a hot drink. And off he went to the gym. And it's like, this man is messy. This is why his brother said he will never be able to prioritize anyone else outside of himself. He's very selfish. And so this is who he's going to be. I think he's better off with someone like Bada. Sarover was too good for him. Apparently, they spent Christmas together. And then, after 3 months, well, he decided it was done. And she's like, but when we went on holiday, it was in October. And so for you to turn around after Christmas to say we're over, doesn't make sense to me. And he says, well, I'm sorry for giving you a 5-star experience. And it's like, sorry, buddy. Sarover comes from money. If you look at money and Sarover, they go hand in hand. Sarover was a step up in community or society for you. So for you to think that you planning this holiday for her was the best thing she's ever received is really sad. And her mom was there, which made things even worse. He gave her 3 reasons. Apparently, there's no spark, they're different people, and she is more emotional and affectionate. And it's like, this is who she's always been. This is why he called her a princess, because there were certain expectations there for him to open the door, for him to hold her when they cross the street. So this is who she's been from day one. The audacity and the idea that this is what you're using to sort of turn against her doesn't make sense. And I think, this is what I think, he didn't realize fully who Sarover was and what Sarover had or where she was coming from. And so I think he was overwhelmed when he realized that this girl comes from money. This girl has done very well for herself. She's got financial security. She doesn't need him. He is actually stepping up into a society that he would never on a good day be allowed to step up in. And so I think this is why he felt intimidated. And this is why he sort of, decided to call things off, because it's not like they had a conversation. Sarover said several times, I asked him, is there anything we need to talk about? Are things not going on okay? What is it? What do we need to work on? And he kept saying, no, we're okay. And he says, she's a very good wife. And it's like, so I get why she's asking you, if I'm a very good wife, and you had these 3 reasons, why did you marry me? Well, because you're a good wife. And it's like, you wasted somebody's time. I'm happy that her mother spoke up, because he was asked, is there anything you want to say to Sarover's mom? Because she was very skeptical at the start about this relationship. Well, I want to apologize. You know, you welcomed me as your son and you treated me very well. Well, for you to go through all that and not feel the need to treat their daughter with dignity and respect, I'm so ashamed for you, because the least he could have done is he could have explained, this is where I'm coming from, this is how I feel. Do we mind if we go and see your parents and explain what's happening? That way they know. Or at least he could have contacted her mother after the fact and apologized, not to be prompted on TV. His mother, I give her credit for saying you weren't genuine. You didn't give her a heads up. You just broke up with her without any warning. He tried to justify to her that, I want to explain myself. She said, no, I don't need to hear your side. And I'm happy she said that, because she doesn't need to hear it. For his mom not to pitch up, that shows she's embarrassed by what her son did. And she had a feeling that her son was going to do this. For him to say, I wasn't ready for commitment. And it's like, well, this is the highest form of commitment you signed up for. So why did you sign up for the show if you're not there for the right reasons, outside of the fact that you wanted to be on TV? His brother spoke up. His brother doesn't like him. I'm going to say this. Either his brother doesn't like him or his brother's fed up with him. Because his brother said, Sarover is amazing. If he could not make things work with Sarover, he'll never be able to make things work with anyone else. Because it seems like he wanted what I and our other brother have, and he had an amazing woman, and he couldn't make it work. And so kudos to him for giving a shout out to all the ladies out there, that if you're going to mess around with my brother, know that this is who he is and he's never going to change. We have Bada and Jed. Well, apparently after she said no, Bada kept insisting, this is not the end of us, this is not the end of us. So apparently she moved in for 3 weeks, and she says that he showed the signs that they were not compatible. She said they dated afterwards. Obviously she kept the ring on as a sign of commitment to him. I think she was trying to do anything and everything to keep him interested, and expected to manipulate him. So when he wouldn't play ball, this is why she got upset. For her to be upset that he told her to take off the ring because of his ex-girlfriend doesn't make sense, given how he explained it. And she didn't refuse that's what happened, because apparently they were at the gym, so she was wearing the ring and he saw his ex, and he asked her to remove the ring, because he says, if he didn't want to create a scene, obviously the ex would have screamed and shouted, and then they would have been seen on TV, and then people would have given a spoiler that we did see them fight. So for him to ask her to remove the ring, and then they discussed it at home, and she found out that his ex had been there, she got upset. She said we were bickering a lot. He said she moved in, I gave her my car, I used to buy her flowers, I used to do ABCDFG. I don't think after she said no at the altar, they should have moved in together. I think she should have stayed in her own place. He should have stayed in his own place, and they should have dated long, not within the same sort of vicinity. But I think she didn't want to lose him. She wanted to manipulate and control him as someone who's used to being in control of everything. And so when things didn't work out her way, this is why she feels the way she does, because she comes across as a bit bitter. I don't know why Ashley was consoling her and holding her hand, because she came across as a bit bitter, in my opinion. She says she moved to Dubai after that, and she hasn't come back since. So it seems she's only come back for the shooting of the show, and she's going back. And my thing is, Bada is going to struggle to find someone that is going to love her for the way she is at the moment, unless she heals. She has a lot of healing to do, not only for this failed relationship, but for everything else that she saw as a child, because that is what is interfering with her relationships. On his part, Jed comes across as very understanding, because he was very calm. Even when she was making sarcastic remarks, he was very calm with it and didn't sort of bite. And it's like, so what does she mean that they were clashing? I feel like her friends know how she can be in confrontation, even though she says she's non-confrontational. Because of the little scenario she created at the reunion, I feel like she's very toxic, and this is why her friends kept saying, you need to have an argument with Jed so that you know how the two of you handle it, because they know how their friend handles it, but they weren't sure how Jed would be able to sort of see that, and maybe they were trying to give Jed a heads up to say she might not be as good as she looks, or she might not be the person that she's presenting herself to be. We got to see Demi and Freddie. Apparently, they're fan favorites. Not really. My favorites were Banaya and Nicole in their season. So for people to say they're their fan favorites, okay. They're asked for their opinion. You have Freddie say, you need to stay true to yourself, and that's the truth. I'm surprised that Jed didn't stay true to himself and ask her not to move in, but I think he just wanted to go with the situation to see if they can make things work. Demi says you need to honor your decision, you need to love yourself, you need to heal, and you need to have your community around you to support you. Do I agree? Yeah. Because these people didn't heal, and because they didn't heal from the no, this is why they are where they are. When they were asked, are you going to continue seeing each other? They said, no, I hope I never see you. And Jed was taken aback, like, what did I do to you? So we get to see the two successful couples from season 1, Jasmine and Bobby. We all know but Jasmine's mom wasn't on board. So surprise, surprise, they're now expecting a baby. I love the fact that, they said this is the second year together. Bobby says he's still trying to sort of get his mother-in-law on his side. It's a good thing for him to do that, especially if they're expecting a child, because she might want to come down and sort of help look after the child. Because I think Jasmine is the only daughter of her mom. I love how he appreciated his wife. I loved the nice things that he said about Jasmine and her being pregnant and the struggles of being pregnant. And it's like, this is all someone needs. This is all you need to know, that your partner sees your efforts and appreciates your efforts. So I love that. She began to cry and Emma had to send a tissue down for her with Matt. That was the cutest ever. And then we saw what was my favorite couple of season 1, Banaya and Nicole. I love Banaya and Nicole. I think there are two people that realized they made a mistake and they were willing to own up to the fact that they had made a mistake and corrected that mistake immediately and are now happily married. As I said during their season, I'll say it again, my little sis Nicole fell backwards into money because Banaya comes from old money. I'm just going to say that. They've been traveling the world. It seems they've hopped on every continent. They've even been on a cruise. And I think I saw it where Banaya was sort of having his wind in the sort of his hair in the wind, and they were sort of replaying the Titanic moment. I love them. I love how Banaya doesn't hold the fact that Nicole made a mistake. And sadly, Katisha could not do the same. She could not do the same, and she won't bring herself to own up to that. I don't know whether she sees it as a sign of weakness or whatever, but hey. Next up, we talk about Ashley and Billy. Am I surprised that Ashley and Billy are broken up? No. Do I think the way they broke up is suspicious? Yes. Yes, and I totally agree with Sarover and Ashley that the boys coordinated the breakup. It seemed, he promised to take care of Ashley, but they struggled. Billy says he struggled with the transition after they were married. And it's like, you struggled about a lot of things. I like the fact that Ashley actually brought it up that, you were bound to be, deployed for 3 months at a go. I never had a problem with it. I don't understand why you didn't understand my job. If I could understand the fact that you could transition, for 3 months at a go. So I think Billy was using that as his backup plan to sort of escape, as his escape route, because it doesn't make sense that he left home, told his dad, if I come across cabin crew, I'm coming back. And yet he got to the extent of proposing to cabin crew, knowing for a fact that he wasn't 100%, got to the altar, said yes, knowing he wasn't 100%, and yet he was telling everyone, I don't want a second divorce. And well, here we are. I don't understand that man. I really don't understand. He said he tried to compromise. Do I think so? No, I don't think so. I really don't. I think he tried to compromise as long as he didn't feel that he was going to be in deficit, in the sense that he was going to give more than he was receiving. It seems apparently he and Carl had a conversation about their relationships, and next thing they sort of gave the same sort of synchronized response to why they were ending their relationships. You had Ashley say, I had to drive to him. He says I offered to drive down to her house, and she said no. Ashley called out that he tried to meet up halfway at a petrol station and have us sit in Mackie D's and sort of go through the breakup of our relationship. And it's like, oh my God. So both guys broke up their relationships after 3 months, which leads me to believe that there must have been a clause in their marriages that if you do not a breakup after the third month, then you have to go through the marriage. I think they were looking for a way of sort of breaking up and avoiding the tag of being divorced and actually going as an annulment. That's the impression that I get. The boys were called out on the fact that you coordinated, your divorce or your breakup of our relationships. And they tried to both say no, and it's like, I don't get it. It walks like a duck, looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, must be a duck, in my opinion. Because why are the two of you suddenly telling your partners that you don't have a spark after 3 months? Why are the two of you saying this is the end of the road? Which leads me to believe there must have been a clause in the marriage or in the contracts that said after 3 months, then it's officially binding. And so they decided to break it up before it was officially binding. Katisha and Javen. First we hear about Demola, and he's asked that if you had, continued with Katisha, do you think you'd have led to the altar? And he said, I had strong feelings for Katisha. I think for Demola, he was head over heels with Katisha. He saw his future. He saw his grandchildren. He saw his forever after with Katisha. Sadly, Katisha didn't see that. And that's because of her trust issues. I feel like she felt it was too good to be true. And instead of when she realized that Javen was not it and sort of going back or asking the guys about Demola that had spent time with Demola, no, she decided to sort of stand 10 toes on her wrong. And here we are. Javen is then asked, were you here for the right reasons? He says he was there for the right reasons. Do I think so? No, I don't think so. I think Javen was there for the clout. I think he wanted to be on Netflix. He wanted to to go through all the stages. So dating, proposing, going on holiday, coming back, getting to the altar, and then he was going to tell this woman no. He really was never going to say yes. He says he had doubts about his relationship, whether it was the right thing. And this is why he spoke to Kieran about his situation to see whether Kieran would say yes if he didn't love the person. And it's like, leave Kieran alone. Leave Kieran alone. I don't know why you're doing that. He was then called out for his behavior with Sophie and the way he was speaking to the girls. And he says, I'm a jokey. There's no jokey when we talk about for JJs. There's no jokey when you're asking someone how far they live from where you are. That is not jokes. And so for you to stand there and open your top and bottom lip and say, I'm a very social person, I'm very jokey, I don't get it. Sophie was asked, she apologized. She said, I'm sorry. My behavior was inappropriate. I should never have done that. I want to apologize to Katisha because I don't think that it was appropriate for me to do this. She was asked what happened at the club. She said at the club we were arguing, so we had to go somewhere because everyone was looking at us. And it's like, I would rather you two had argued on the dance floor than you two had gone into the photo booth, because then everyone wants to know what are you doing in the photo booth, and it looks suspicious. Yes, they revealed the photo booth, but it still looks suspicious that why did the two of you need the privacy of that open photo booth? You could easily, if you said you couldn't hear each other, why didn't you go outside and have a conversation? That would have been better. The two of you know what you were saying and you didn't want other people to hear you, and this is why you looked for privacy, as far as I'm concerned. I was so side-eyeing Katisha when she tried to drag, Sophie. And then she took a moment, and I think whether someone gave her a cue or whatever, she then apologized to Sophie and said, Sophie, I'm sorry for calling you out. This has nothing to do with you. Javen is the one who owes me respect. You owe me nothing. And that's the truth, though. Sophie doesn't owe you anything. So it's up to you and your guy. The photo booth was shown, there was no curtain, and you had Javen sort of trying to say, I feel some type of way because, Megan said I spent all night with Sophie and with the other girls. And it's like, you also said on his interview, I saw an interview that he did a little black book, and he was saying, oh no, I spent time with Patrick, with Demola. Demola was sitting there. Why didn't you ask Demola to speak up for you? Why didn't Demola speak up for you? Because he knows. Everybody else knows. That's why they kept quiet. Why didn't Anu and company shout out and say, no, he wasn't as bad. He wasn't flirting. He wasn't. Megan spoke the truth. And I'm happy Megan stood 10 toes and said, yes, I said it. And I will stand by what I said because I said what I saw. And that's it. And you could see that, Javen had no choice but to sort of own up to that. I think it was his mom and his sister. You could tell that they had a little bit of embarrassment, secondhand embarrassment for how he had behaved. Anna being there, I don't get why. I really don't. Whether it was because of the she was a liar song, I don't get it. She said she should have continued with her other connections. We heard you when you spoke to Javen, so that's nothing new. She said she stands by everything she did. I think it was embarrassing. She was then asked, why didn't you continue seeing Demola? Because Demola is an amazing guy. And Demola said, no, she gives annoying sister vibes. That's it. There's nothing there. And I love that he shut it down. Patrick didn't come, but we were told that apparently Patrick is focused on being a dad. Good for him. And then finally, our happy couple, Kieran and Megan. Kieran and Megan are the only couple that are still married from the season. So they, Matt, it's revealed that he cried because he was very emotional. I really loved their sort of wedding because it played on their youthfulness, their happy spirit. And so they were saying, we are doing very well. We got to see a little montage of them cycling around London, them at a concert and stuff. So I love Kieran and Megan that they're doing what's happy for them. You had sort of, Megan reveal, she was asked, how's your wedding, how's your marriage going? And she said, yeah, it can be a bit challenging because Kieran, I have to find ways of motivating him to do errands. And it seems he gets excited when he gets a gold star. So that's what I do. Kieran really seemed happy about his marriage and how things are going. He was asked about, the experience. How do you feel about the experiment? He said, well, it was great for him because he was able to have more open conversations with Megan as conversations that he would normally have in the real world. And he wishes all his friends would go through that. And he said, nobody else can understand it than someone who's gone through this process. And he said, the good thing is, Megan and I walked in and said, if you find our person amazing, if we don't find our person amazing. So we were able to be open to the experience. This allowed us to find our person. And so we couldn't have done better. And I'm happy for where we are. Their families really seemed cute and very excited, especially Kieran's dad seemed very happy that Kieran found his person. Megan, they showed us a clip of her saying, I don't want to date a gamer. I don't want any gamers. And now she's ended up with a gamer. And it's like, this is what happens when you come in open. She didn't want a gamer, but she was open to the experience and finding a person. Whereas with Billy, he didn't want a cabin crew, but he was shut down to the experience. He kept questioning everything. And this is why he is where he is. We got to see Sophie. Sophie said she's in therapy. She said, this has allowed her to help and heal, and also she's now been able to have open conversations with her mom about issues that they've had and sort of address any things that she did wrong or her mom did wrong. Good for her. At the end of the day, we want people to love. I loved season 2. I really do. I think the thing with UK cast is they are always very cautious of how they put themselves across or how they come across, and they try not to do anything that will agitate the viewers or have the viewers on their backs and sort of attacking them for anything that they've said or done. That's the impression that I get. I can't wait for season 3. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 10. Bye guys.